everyone, welcome back. I'm Di and today I am bringing you my October wrap-up. It's a little bit cooler where I am now, so I'm trying my old filming location. Hope this works out. It is still a little warm here, but I think it should be okay. In October, I read 12 things, so that was a really good change of pace for me. It's been a while since I've been able to read a lot. 7 of those things were novels and 5 volumes of manga. So as I've been doing it lately, I will do novels first and then manga probably in another video. Because there are so many titles to talk about this month, this is probably gonna be a longer one, so I hope you are comfortable. Let's get right into it. The first book I finished in October was Tisket A Tasket, A Fancy Stolen Casket by Fran Reiser. This is the first book in the Callie Parrish mystery series. I read this as part of my first in a series Cozy Mystery Book Club picks. This was one of September's picks for the month. This one follows Callie Parrish, and she is a mortuary cosmetologist. One of Callie's older brother's best friends from high school is found floating in one of the neighborhood pools. It is thought that he has drowned and his body ends up at the mortuary where Callie works. As Callie is prepping him for his service, she finds a needle in his neck, and so cause of death turns from drowning to suspected murder. Obviously there's someone out there who did not want her to find that needle, and because she did, she finds herself in a precarious situation. I first bought this book because I was interested in the mortuary cosmetology part of the summary. That part of the story did not disappoint me in the least. I found those parts to be very interesting. Callie, on the other hand, was kind of irritating. She has this obsession with the size of her chest that really bothered me, and she talks about it quite a bit. She also has nicknames for several of the people that she crosses paths with in this book that I thought was very immature and juvenile. I did enjoy her relationship with her family, as well as her relationship with her blind friend. I thought their friendship was very realistic, especially in the aftermath of an argument. I also enjoyed the fact that Callie likes to read mystery novels in her downtime at the office. This story was very different from any other cozy mystery that I had read, as Callie was not really an amateur sleuth. She kind of had all of the pieces of the puzzle fall into her lap. So that kind of makes me curious about if she will take up amateur sleuthing later in the series. I do have the second book in the series, so I will eventually find out if she does take that path or not. I ended up giving this book 3.5 stars. The next book I read was Inferno. This is the 4th book in the Robert Langdon series by Dan Brown. I'm sure you've all seen the trailers for this movie and kind of have an idea of what it's about. This book pits Robert Langdon against Bertrand Zobrist, who is someone who is really concerned about overpopulation. Zobrist decides to take it upon himself to solve the world's overpopulation problem as he sees it, and it's up to Robert Langdon to try to figure out the clues Zobrist has left in regards to Dante's Inferno and try to stop whatever Zobrist has come up with from harming the people of the world. I did enjoy this more than The Lost Symbol, which I read last month. I'm not sure if it has to do with the fact that this was more adventure, I guess you can say, than The Lost Symbol was. I thought the discussion to be had about overpopulation was very relevant, and I'm glad that I could see both sides of that argument in this book. I was kind of excited to see this movie, which is why I ended up reading this book in the first place, but I can already see differences from the book through the trailer, so now I'm not as excited as I was. And I also heard there were some changes that were made that I don't think were good choices. But if you've seen the movie and read the book, let me know what your thoughts were on that. I'm still kind of on the fence on whether or not I'm actually going to see it while it's in theaters. Anyway, I ended up giving this one 4 stars, and I'm really looking forward to the next installment in this series, which is coming out in 2017. The next book I read was Spy High Mission 1. This is the first book in the Spy High series by A.J. Butcher. I actually borrowed this book like 4 times and re-borrowed it to the max all 4 times and never got to it. And I finally did in October. So I'm really glad that I finally was able to read this book. This one follows 6 students, 3 boys and 3 girls, as they enter Devereaux Academy, which is also known as Spy High. They were handpicked to be the Bond team. Yes, I said Bond team, as in 007 Bond. And basically through this school they are taught how to become spies and work together as a team to complete their missions. So they are at the end of their first term there, and they basically fail their final. They cannot work together, and because they can't work together, they end up failing their mission. Out of all of the teams at Devereaux Academy, they are the only team to fail their mission. So now they're in a situation, because if they don't pass the mission, they will be expelled. And they can't ever come back, and memory wiping and everything like that. So they are sent on a special mission to try and stay on at Spy High. I did enjoy this book, but not as much as I thought I was going to. I think it was still a little too young for my tastes. I kind of got irritated with the bickering between the teenagers. There was something that happened at the very end of the book that just left a bad taste in my mouth, and I don't really understand why the author felt it was necessary to create that situation. The final mission that the kids are trying to complete in order to stay on at the academy, I thought was very exciting. That's when I thought the book picked up action-wise quite a bit, but I did enjoy getting to see how they were hand selected, what kind of backgrounds they came from. There was quite a bit of diversity in the characters. There was a rich kid, there was a poor kid, there was a girl who lived on the street, there was a Chinese American girl, there was an African American girl. So it was nice to see those facets. I think if you enjoyed Allie Carter's I Tell You I Love You But Then I'd Have to Kill You, which is the first book in the Gallagher Girls series, but thought that might be a little too juvenile for you, you might enjoy this one, as they are older teens. I ended up giving this one 3 stars, and I will be continuing on to the second one because there was a development during the mission that they were on that will be a situation that continues. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. So yeah, 3 stars. Really glad I finally got to this after borrowing it so many times. And it actually sparked my interest in finally watching some Bond films that I was behind on. So I am now caught up on Bond films, and I'm really interested in reading more of these like spy novels. So if you have any favorites other than the James Bond series, let me know down in the comments below and I'll check those out. The next book I read was Brownies and Broomsticks. This is the first in the Magical Bakery Mystery series by Bailey Cates. This was one of October's picks for the first in a series Cozy Mystery Book Club. I ended up listening to this on audiobook through Hoopla, which is offered through my library. This one follows Katie Lightfoot, and she has just moved into a new town. She is opening up a bakery with her aunt and uncle. Before the grand opening of the bakery, a prominent figure in the community saunters into her establishment and demands that they do a spread for their next council meeting. This woman has a lot of power within the community, so the aunt and uncle accept her very rude request. At the end of the meeting, as everyone is dispersing, this very rude woman gets murdered right outside of their bakery. So, first suspect is Katie's uncle, as he had had an altercation with this woman because she wanted to not pay the amount that was agreed upon to do this spread for this meeting. Not only did she not want to pay the full amount, she only wanted to pay half. So they get into an argument. Uncle goes outside to catch some air, and within the time that the uncle is outside and the time that he comes back in, this woman gets strangled in her vehicle. He is the only suspect that the police have at this time. The people that saw a suspect walking away from the vehicle after the murder gave a description that fits her uncle, so Katie knows her uncle didn't do this at all. So she is trying to figure out with all of her might who the actual killer is. As she is trying to do that, her aunt also drops on her that she is a witch. I thought that this book felt very reminiscent of It Takes a Witch by Heather Blake, which I read in August or September. It might have been September. Just the whole moving to a new town, trying to start a new life, starting over, and inadvertently finding out that you're a witch. Not having known before, parents kind of keeping that info from the character as she's growing up. This one featured more herbal witchcraft, I guess you can say, and other facets of witchcraft, as other characters in this book have abilities. So I thought that was very interesting. The mystery was interesting as well. I had no idea who the culprit was until it was revealed, so that's always good. I didn't like the fact that our main character is part Native American, and we are not actually told that until about chapter 15, which is almost halfway through the book. I think with a name like Katie Lightfoot, it sounded Native American to me, but there were no indicators or anything until chapter 15 that she was part Native American. There was also no reference to any Native American rituals or anything like that, so I'm not quite sure if the author is intending on weaving some of that in. That would be really interesting and relevant, and I would really enjoy that, but this book had none of that. I also did not enjoy the love triangle that is kind of a staple in cozy mysteries. I think I'm kind of over love triangles at this point in time. As soon as I saw it coming, I was like, ugh. But it ended up not being a major part of the story, which I appreciated. This one actually came with 2 recipes, so I'm really excited to try those out. I ended up giving this one 4 stars and will definitely be continuing with this series.